everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm your host, Robert Scarpanito, features editor.
Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
Andrew Stretch, the Andrew editor.
And can you tell us what you did with the other Andrew, please?
Legally, I am not allowed to discuss ongoing court cases, but my lawyer has advised me to say that he slipped and fell and may be back next week.
Maybe. Being the key words in that.
Maybe. Depends if they find the body.
Yeah, this is payback for, what was it? Was it just 2 weeks ago when he fired you for an hour? Is that what we're...
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Rut, can I have permission to fire your editor-in-chief? That's not going to be bad for the site at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, Andrew's as dead as E3, so...
Oh boy. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about the Steam Deck later, which will be interesting. But yeah, let's kick things off with fucking E3 2022 is dead
What's that?
Year.
There's no E3 2022. What are you talking about? That's not a thing. That's not real.
There's no war in Bossing E3. So originally we heard a few months ago, right, that E3 in person this year would be not a thing, citing, health concerns, which is sure, right? And
which is good for them.
It's good for their health, I think. And then we learned last week that E3 2022 online edition also would not be happening. And perhaps my favorite thing about this is, you would see like Nibel and like Wario64 tweet about it, and then like a second later is just Keeley tweeting a winking emoji. Loved it.
He's taken over. Keeley is now the king of video games.
Mm-hmm. The Dorito Pope of video games.
The Electronics Entertainment Expo and claimed his rightful place atop the peak of video games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Keeley then just went on to announce like, hey, Summer Games Fest is still happening, right? I mean, we all knew it was, right? It's just it's a good time from a PR perspective to blast that message.
Yep. Next he'll be announcing E4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just weird to me, like, because I've only been to one. So my first E3 might also have been the last E3 in person, which is kind of scary. Weird.
I remember as a kid watching IGN watermarked trailers of Super Mario Galaxy as it had been announced at E3, thinking, wow, that seems really cool. I'd love to go to E3 one day, not even realizing at the time that it wasn't a consumer event, it was a press event. Mm-hmm. And then it started becoming more of a consumer event, and I wasn't able to make it other years, and now it's dead. and so with it, that dream.
But look on the bright side, they can't leak your press info this year.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, the Electronic Software Association leaking people's info is just so dumb. I think the part of it, though, is like, you talked about how you wanted to go to E3 when you were a kid, not knowing it was a press event. And now it was at the time before it quote unquote died, it was kind of shifting toward being a consumer event as well, right? Like I remember it was it 2018 where it was like $1,000+ for like a public person ticket to get in.
Yeah, that was my first time going too.
Yeah. And I feel like that shift is kind of muddied the waters enough where everyone was like, I don't know what we're here for anymore. You know what I mean? Because it was trying to be PAX, but also trying to be what E3 initially was.
I mean, the biggest shift that I saw was E3 was in availability and like access to the event. That, a lot of the original E3 would have been, you had press on site, the press got the trailers, they got the info, they'd write the articles and get it out to the people, and that was the dissemination of information. But there is added questionability, and Nintendo was really the first big company to be like, wait a second, we don't need this.
Yeah.
With the invention of the Nintendo Direct, that idea of we don't need it to be a 2.5 hour press show where Andrew WK comes up and does guitar tricks, and we've got Borderlands magic tricks over in this corner of the room, and
that was for PAX East. Let's be fair.
but it's honestly, it's the same thing for PAX East as well. I guess just PAX East has a lot more than going for it than just video games.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're dunking on famous magician Randy, but I will say, I mean, I'm going to PAX East in a few weeks, and there will be a Gearbox show, and I am only going to see a magic trick.
We need the ultimate crossover. Randy goes on Penn and Teller Fool Us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'll be the way to do it.
I'll do it.
And watch as my branded board game appears.
Yeah. No, this is kind of sad to see, though. I mean, it's like the slow death of E3. You know what I mean? It's like going out with a whimper instead of a bang.
Yeah,
it's such a staple.
It's been kind of a slow downfall for the most part. I think that even press sentiment has changed on it in the last couple of years. I mean, the big leak of data kind of soured a lot of people's trust in the ESA managing that level of info. Then you see Nintendo leave, and you see some of these larger publishers that are like, nah, we're good. We'll do something else. And yeah, that first year with the consumers, granted, I've primarily been to consumer events like Gen Con and stuff like that as press, but I don't know. It to me, it didn't deter or cause too many issues in terms of like coverage or stuff like that. But it was definitely interesting to see. Even 2018 felt, I don't know, small. There was a lot of open space in the convention center, and I didn't have trouble getting around, like everybody said. So that was
That's just because you didn't get invited to any of the cool parties, Rut. I'm sorry. This is not the way that I wanted you to learn.
Yeah, no, you should have been to the cool parties, like the men's bathroom while Dr. Disrespect was live streaming.
Yeah,
that's the coolest part.
I really missed that one.
I forgot that one
what
too.
A shame.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, it is a shame to see this happen, but it's also like writing has been on the wall for a while, right? And we even got a statement from the ESA where they said, quote, E3 will return in 2023 with a reinvigorated showcase that celebrates new and exciting video games and industry innovations. So we'll see, because I feel like they said that in 2021, right? Like, we'll be back in 2022 in person, y'all, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was some of the like tertiary events at E3 that were like EA Play having their own showcase in their own area for press to kind of wander around and check stuff out. I found that was pretty cool in terms of stuff. You know, the PC Gamer Show is offsite, Devolver is offsite. We've kind of seen this bleed of everything's in the convention center to everything's kind of just spread out throughout LA.
Yeah. I mean, when PlayStation left it was like, that was kind of a ringing bell of, okay, the big publishers don't need the ESA anymore.
Yeah. Well, and Microsoft had their own event literally across the street in 2018 because they have their own auditorium over there.
Yeah,
so
the Microsoft Theater.
Microsoft Theater.
Yeah, so there's at that point, why have a booth when everybody who's at E3 can just cross the street?
I think really, like, of those like main staple, like the big, like, I mean, because as someone like me who's only ever, seen it remotely from a distance, it feels sad that something so like core to gaming and gaming news and like that hype cycle of like, oh man, E3's coming up, everything's going to be huge. At this point, I think Ubisoft and Square Enix are the only two that like really still remain. Because Microsoft and Bethesda are together in their own thing. Sony left, Nintendo left, EA pretty much left. I'm not sure whether the EA Play stuff does or does not fall under E3 directly, because it all still counts as E3. You can't take, you can't be in that box that says E3 and then take half a step out of it and then expect it to not be known as the PlayStation E3 conference or the Nintendo Direct E3 2021 or whatever.
I think E3 stopped being a place and more of like a time.
Yeah.
In terms of it's E3 season.
Yes. It's kind of like it's kind of like, E3 is its own entity, like Yoda is just like disappearing into the Atmos, but it's like its spirit is living on. And I would not be surprised, this year definitely we'll still see a bunch of events announced for the weekends of like June is normally when E3 is.
June through August now, I feel like, is the new E3 season. June through August, maybe leak into September a little bit.
But I'm sure we will still continue to see like a mid-year June, just like, there will happen to always be a big Sony, a big Microsoft, a big Nintendo event that happen pretty much on top of each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's been happening long enough now where I think most people feel like it's tradition in a way, right? To have just the cool big stuff in the summer, just the announcements, right? Like it's announcement season, essentially. So, yeah, I think even if E3 is gone this year, don't worry. Keeley 3 will still happen this year, and I'm sure lots of other publishers and the big other companies are going to release tons of information and all that.
We'll see Day of the Devs and probably the Future Game Show. Hopefully the PC gaming show dies.
No, I want that to stay for. I want that to be the last conference. I want the rest of them to disappear and that to be the only one.
Bring back the duck.
I really appreciate the PC gaming show for trying a new format. But for the conferences that you kind of want those announcement after announcement after announcement. And like the interviews after are totally fine. I love watching like Major Nelson do all of his interviews after Xbox stuff. But just when you're trying to do coverage and the show is going to be 3 hours. But it's just like, we're going to give you 5 minutes of news and then we're going to spend 15 minutes, chatting with the developers. Just kind of like, oh, come on.
It's a little coffee break. Get up, stretch your legs.
Yeah, true.
Speaking of big announcements, PlayStation did a big one this past week. PlayStation Plus is going to get a few updates this summer. They've announced a new tier system that has been rumored for a while. I think we might have talked about it on the pod before, that Spartacus idea. There was a code name for it. Now it's official, and they're not calling it PlayStation Spartacus, which I guess makes sense because from a guest-facing perspective, that's very confusing. But there will be 3 new tiers of PlayStation Plus coming to a PlayStation near you. The first one is PlayStation Plus Essential, which is it's what you have now if you have PlayStation Plus. It's the same benefits, not much else, and the pricing remains the same. Then there's PlayStation Plus Extra, which includes everything you have now, but also a catalog of up to 400 PS4 and 5 games, including first-party games. And that'll be $15 monthly or $100 yearly in the US. And then there's PlayStation Plus Premium, P3 if you will, which includes the other 2 tiers and then adds up to 340 additional games, which includes PS3 via cloud streaming and a catalog of PlayStation 2, and PlayStation Portable games.
You missed PlayStation Plus Deluxe.
Did I?
Yeah, for regions that don't have cloud streaming, there's a 4th option.
That's right.
Well, technically it's their 3rd option. Funnily enough, looking at this, I would prefer the PlayStation Plus Deluxe.
No cloud streaming?
Nah, if it can only go to my PS5, then I might as well just download the game and play it on my PS5.
Yeah, but then you can't play any of the PS3 games. I should also say, too, the PlayStation Plus Premium, that's $18 monthly, $120 yearly. Whereas Deluxe, I think, is going to be offered for a little less, right? Considering it won't have as many features as Premium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the glaring things here, I think people have already been talking about this, is like PS3 is only cloud streaming. There's no, native on system emulation available for PS3 or for the PS5 to emulate PS3. And the Persona 4 Golden Machine is just kind of not here.
They put Persona 4 Golden on the on the PC. Did they end up porting it to other consoles as well?
I don't think so. Not that I've seen. But no, there's just no mention of the Vita in this at all. Yeah.
You would think that the Vita would be something that they would be like right on top of, considering that they already have the Vita TV or the PlayStation TV. I still use it. It's a fantastic device. But yeah, you know, for all the jokes about Vita being dead and Vita being this lost, you know, a loveless son of Sony. Oh, they're rubbing gravel in the wound.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how do you all feel about the names of the tiers? Because I'll be honest, even though I just read them off, I still have to look at the webpage to remember which one is named which.
They're lame. PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Plus Plus, and PlayStation Plus Plus Plus. Done.
Yeah, I mean, immediately, the first thing that I thought when we looked at these PlayStation Plus new tiers was that they've fallen into the Wii U problem. Is that like essential versus extra versus premium? In my mind, none of them specifically have like that idea of one over the other. It honestly would have been better for them to have had just PlayStation Plus, an extra, and then, I don't know, PlayStation Plus all, or even just if they said tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, it would have been less confusing.
Or hear me out, PlayStation Game Pass.
I don't get it.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, this is clearly kind of trying to compete, right, with Game Pass, but I don't think it's a one-to-one comparison. Because as far as I'm aware, there is no guaranteed day one PlayStation first-party games.
Correct. Yeah, they basically said the maybe. They were not very clear about what that looked like. And that still kind of gives Xbox the advantage in terms of knowing that if I am subscribed to Game Pass, anything that is a first party title for Xbox, I get day one.
Yeah.
Going off the games that they brought up in their blog post, it looks like the most recent ones were Returnal and Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Which Miles Morales at this point is a year old. Returnal's about 6 months. Is it a year now?
Wow. Yeah, didn't it come out like April last year?
Wow, time flies.
Yep. Time flies when you can't leave your home.
Yeah.
April 30th. Yeah, so it may be that either there's a 6th month or a 1 year first party. They've confirmed that the for PS5 PlayStation Plus collection, is that what that one's called? They've confirmed that that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So all the games on that, you know, you'll continue to have access to, or it will get just lumped into this.
Oh, and worth noting for the 5 PlayStation Now subscribers out there, if you're still interested in that, that's just now going to be part of these 3 tiers. So you don't need to like have PlayStation Plus Deluxe or Premium, PlayStation Plus Premium and PlayStation Now. You don't need to have both.
Well, PlayStation Plus Extra is the one that is essentially PlayStation Now.
With PlayStation Plus.
Yes.
No, maybe.
Yes.
Gonna need to make a chart.
I honestly, if I had not been so busy this week, I 100% planned to throw together a chart to compare the 2 services, or, you know, what this new service will be. Yeah.
Chop, get to it.
It's confusing.
Like, I'm just thinking of the acronyms now, because PS plus sign is very, you know, that's clean. Easy. But now you have to do PS plus sign P, right? Or with the first 2, how do you differentiate between essential and extra, right? Like, they're both E's.
PS plus ES, PS plus EX, PS plus P.
We're like 2 steps away from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Again, P1, P2, P3, PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Plus Plus, and PlayStation Plus Plus Plus. It works perfect.
Well, P3 isn't going to work if you're talking about it on Twitter, because I'm pretty sure at P3 on Twitter is Phil Spencer.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It all comes together. It comes back to Phil.
The
it comes
plan
back to
is
Game
coming
Pass.
together. Check is in the mail.
Yeah.
You'd have a PlayStation Plus John 117, PlayStation Plus Tunic, and PlayStation Plus Major Nelson.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm very curious about this because I think as much as I do like Game Pass, if I'm being honest, I've been playing my PlayStation a lot more than my Xbox in the past few months, right? So I'm gonna try PlayStation Plus Premium on launch just to like feel it out and think of how much I'm gonna actually use it. But I guess it's really gonna depend on like what those third-party games look like, because then it kind of gets into that war of like, you know, the next big third-party game that comes out, what if it's a PlayStation Plus exclusive day one? You know what I mean? Like, does that like now it's kind of a revitalization of the console wars in a weird way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we already know that. Well, yeah, I guess at least not first-party titles aren't going to be day one. But I guess that doesn't mean anything for whether Sony's going to try to get any third-party games day one. Or whether... I mean,
like, imagine Final Fantasy 16 day one, PlayStation.
Yeah. That'd be pretty huge.
Mm-hmm. Because it's already going to be a PlayStation exclusive, as far as I'm aware. But it's not first-party dev.
Yeah, which is also just weird considering that currently, like, the rest of the Final Fantasies have all been making their way through Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to be beneficial for the third-party publishers as they can, you know, get a year on this service and then a year on this service and then a year on that service, and it'll just be which service it comes to first.
Yeah, it's like the streaming wars for TV, but not for games.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo just in the corner.
Xbox already still has that added benefit of the EA Play built in. That scores them, you know, after 6-month windows. That's FIFA, that's Madden, that's all of that Game Pass Ultimate. Like, unless that deal falls through or Sony managed to shop around and get better, then you know, that's still huge weight in that corner.
I mean, having Bethesda and EA in Game Pass is, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, I mean, personally, the biggest thing I'm looking at when I'm seeing this PlayStation Plus, and I also definitely intend to get it for, you know, 3 months, 6 months or something, to check it out, to give it a spin. For me, it's going to be those classic games. Mm-hmm. I don't mind as much about the third-party games because I already have Game Pass. You know, I've got more than enough third-party content to play there. But seeing which original PlayStation games, PlayStation 2, PSP games, like, are they going to launch with Crisis Core? But I also know that Crisis Core has all of the issues, but with the model and actor for Evil Red Guy.
I don't know.
Whatever. I'm probably going to get someone screaming at me. I know that the one of the characters in Crisis Core is based off the Japanese model Gecht. And so it falls into like a likeness issue, a similar thing that we've been seeing these past few years with Lost Judgment.
Right.
And the disputes that are going on there. Or even whether, you know, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core is going to be part of whatever these continual plans are to expand upon Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 4 and 5. But it'll it'll really be interesting to see how much they're willing to support that. We've already heard the lines from Sony that they don't believe in that they do believe in generations.
No, but play has limits.
Yeah, play has limits.
Yeah.
And that PlayStation 5 specifically built for PlayStation 5 game Godfall has not only come to PS4, but it has also come to Xbox One.
Mm-hmm. And it's massive success.
Yeah. But like when Sony launched their PlayStation 2 games for PlayStation 4 initiative years ago at this point, they launched with like 30 titles. Over the next 3 months, we saw that number go up to like 50 something. And then they never put out another PS2 game for PS4 again.
Yeah.
And this was something that they had built up, that they had been like, oh my God, check this out. Like, I bought Ape Escape 2, and I don't even think that they added Ape Escape 3, or they had 3 but not 2. I know Rut wanted to play that game Dark Cloud a lot, because that was on there. But I'm kind of worried that they're going to say, oh, here's this beloved collection, and it's just going to be these 50 titles that have been available on the PS4 for years that they never took any further drive with. In a very similar way, I'm expecting that they say, look at these cool PlayStation games, and the list is identical to those that were on the PlayStation Mini.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, they did the same thing with the PS3 as well. Like, during that generation, they had, like, we're bringing PS1 and 2 games in. Like, you can buy them digitally. And
here's 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, I remember having a similar thing where it's like, here's a catalog, and then we kind of just forget about it, right? And if they do that same thing with this Game Pass competitor, it's not going to have legs, I think. Because, like, part of imagine if when Game Pass launched, what was that, 5 years ago, and the catalog never changed, no one would be talking about it now, right? But it's because of the rotating catalog on top of the exciting day one editions, right? That keeps Game Pass competitive and current. If this PlayStation competitor doesn't do that, if they do the same thing where they just kind of, here's 50, we're going to call it a day, see you in 2 years, like, no one's going to be talking about this in 2 years.
I think Sony just has this mindset that they can carry things on name alone at times, rather than really driving the value. I think, we know players are asking for this, so we'll do the bare minimum to start and then give up later. Like, I think if they just went full on and said, okay, this massive catalog is now available, and we're going to start rolling out more and more over time, you would get a lot more hype. You would get a lot more people that are like, hell yeah, I'll sign up now, start playing some of the games I like, and see where things go. But I think there's a bit of a reticence because of the history. Like, yeah, okay, cool, it sounds awesome, we're going to get stuff, but will we actually? I'm going to wait to subscribe until I actually see. And then at that point, it falters right at the start, and Sony's like, oh, this isn't worth it. And we're just back to square one.
Yeah. And, the third part of that history of their investment in these kinds of services is PlayStation Now itself first launched, and you could access PlayStation Now on everything in its mother's device. Then it pared down to only PlayStation devices and PC, and then I think it even cut out PC. And one of the big questions that I saw people asking is like, why is PS3 still streaming? And definitely understand how difficult the cell architecture is that they built the PS3 on, and how that can be difficult. But since PlayStation Now first started as a service, people have been asking, why can I not download the PS3 games? And if it was a technical limitation with the PS3, with the PS4, that's totally fine. But now, is it going to continue to be? What happens, is Sony just going to have to continue making custom PCs that run PS3 hardware on server racks for the rest of their life if they want PlayStation 3 games to be playable and streamable? A kind of crazy thing about Game Pass streaming is that they've started upgrading all of the server blades to Series X hardware. So, just the not only are you able to stream the Games for Live Arcade version of Banjo-Kazooie, but I can stream that to my phone, and it's running on a Series X, and I get all the benefits of the load times and the like 4K enhancements that game's got and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like as we march through time, I feel like in retrospect, Sony kind of shot themselves in the foot by doing that cell architecture, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Did it end up making some beautiful games? Yeah. But also a lot of those big hits on PS3 have already been like at the at the company level, at the build level, have been ported.
Yep.
Beyond Two Souls. I'm just blanking on other PS3 games for some reason.
I know Metal Gear 4 is still on PS3.
Yeah. We talked about that last week, I think. Maybe off podcast, but we definitely talked about that last week. It's like, yeah, what's happening with Metal Gear Solid 4? Ironically enough, the one chance that it would have gotten to have been ported correctly was the Metal Gear like HD trilogy or whatever that got released.
With like Blue Point, right? Didn't they work on that?
Maybe I'm thinking of the one that was also, because this was also on Xbox.
Yeah,
and it definitely had Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, and then had a bunch of the older games. I don't think that it had the original PlayStation version. But I believe on the PlayStation 3 edition it came with Metal Gear Solid 4 as well, but it didn't on the Xbox 360 version.
Yeah.
There's just a weird game just stuck on that system.
Maybe that's why Sony purchased Blue Point, because now Blue Point's grand mission is to remake all of the big PS3. I mean, they did Demon Souls, so just got to move on from there. Do the rest of the big PS3
Well, they
games.
also did, they did the better reimagining and the better port of Shadow of the Colossus as well.
Yeah, that was
PS2,
huge. Right?
That was PS2, but it got a port to PS3 with Ico as a double package. So I mean, maybe we'll see Blue Point come out with an Ico remake next too. And funnily enough, we can definitely talk about how difficult it is to get stuff running, but I'm pretty sure that Metal Gear Solid 4 is emulatable on PC. Not to condone piracy and everything, but it's like it's running, it's doable. Let me pay for it.
Yeah, like that's all we need from Sony now, right? It's just, I mean, I guess that's what we're getting, right?
That
like
Mega Man Legends 3.
Right. Sony can make that happen for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So PlayStation Plus 3 tiers, that's coming in the summer. I guess I'm excited. I guess I'm more interested to see how it's just going to compete in the market. That I think is going to be the big test.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that does it for the big news this week. Let's talk about some games. Rut, you've been playing a game that looks like the name of a light novel. So you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's just this. I wouldn't even call it a game. It's just this funny thing that I saw on Steam on the upcoming releases. It's called "The One Who Pulls Out the Sword is King," and it's a game where you are literally pulling the sword out of the stone, and it's online. So every time somebody pulls the sword out of the stone, the sword gets longer. So the more people who pull it out, it gets longer and longer and more difficult. And it's just funny. You pull because I think I hopped in the first like 15 minutes because I was like, I don't want to get to the point where it takes me an hour to pull this sword out, because you have to literally keep dragging up. And if you accidentally bump off the sword, it goes all the way back down.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I thought it'd be like you hold W or something.
Nope, you are literally dragging with your mouse. Like click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. And yeah, it's just funny because you become king or whatever, and they like put you up on this this chair and then carry you into the city, and everybody's cheering, and then you get up to the top of the stairs and turn around at the crowd and they behead the last king next to you. It's just it's so funny. And they said it's just like a social experiment. But I'll be curious to like go back to it at some point and just like see how difficult it is to pull the sword out.
So it's just to see who wants to be the king in the end and who has the patience to outlast it.
Probably. That would be my guess.
I bet right now someone listening to this will be like, "Oh shit, that sounds cool," and they're going to be sitting there for a week.
Yep.
Just dragging.
Yep.
Well, someone's probably already made scripts, right?
Yeah, I just bumped my I did so there's an offline mode too that's like super difficult, and there's an achievement for it. So I just bumped the DPI on my mouse up to max. And so the vertical DPI to max, and then I bumped the horizontal to like 2 so that I couldn't accidentally screw up. And it still took me 5 minutes. So it's just, I thought it was a hilariously goofy game. And whoever it is, whoever does Tab G, like Totally Accurate Battlegrounds and Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, came out with an April Fool's game yesterday. It's a full-fledged game called Nightfall, where you are essentially just racing to cities on a horse that can drift. And you're trying to get there to get first so that you can get a gun. And it's like a 10-player battle royale type thing. And I'm gonna play it later. It looks absolutely hilarious.
God, that sounds so silly.
So I'm just playing MAME games at this point.
That's what your life's evolved to.
Yes.
The one who pulls out the sword will be crowned king is also free to play on Steam. So
it is, yeah. So it's something that you don't have to do or pay for, and you can just kind of experience. If you want to see the cutscene of becoming king, you can do it in offline mode, and you can disable the difficulty.
Yeah.
So,
God, could you imagine having to pay $20 just to sit there for 20 minutes dragging your mouse?
You know what? People would do it.
Probably. For that achievement, for the platinum. That doesn't matter.
I 100%ed it. I pulled the sword out in online mode and offline mode. So,
yeah, there's only 2 achievements.
Yeah, there's only 2 achievements. So, easy, perfect game on Steam.
Yeah, great for achievement. Well, maybe not now, because I imagine online is like impossible at this point.
It's got to be so difficult. I think I still have it downloaded just so that I can test it in like a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing a whole bunch of I'm looking at the Steam reviews. I'm seeing like a 0.5 hours run record, 0.4, 0.2, 0.1. And then I'm seeing a 3.7 hours. And I really hope that just means that they turned it on and left it idle. Because they're the only person that I see above 1 hour gameplay, at least from the top reviews.
Do you think in a week, if you sort the reviews from like oldest to newest, you just see a gradually growing length of time played? Because you need to play it longer, right, to finish the game as it keeps going.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's so funny. I saw that and I was like, this looks stupidly funny, and I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. And we need more just fun little toy joke games like that, you know.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's a social experiment that might tie into a larger project they have in mind. But it's kind of an interesting concept to say, the more people that pull this out, the harder it gets. So
I was a king for 30 seconds. It took me 36 minutes to draw the sword. Worth every moment, 10 out of 10.
Oh man. My gosh. Yeah.
So I got a Steam Deck.
Did Gaben hand deliver it to you?
No, I'm sad because I live just across. Come on, Lake Washington is between us, Gabe. You can come over. I'm in Seattle. I know where Valve is. Come on, man.
He's got a bag of Doritos ready for you. You guys can game on the Steam Deck.
I hope so. No, it actually came in from Chicago, which was wild, but sure. So I have the Steam Deck now. Actually, I can put it up on the camera for you two to see if you're curious. This won't do anything for the podcast because it's all
that's
audio.
A Switch.
Well, no, this is a Switch.
Oh man, that thing is
That's not a knife.
huge.
Yeah, the Steam Deck has like a good 1 inch on both sides of the Switch, if that helps you imagine it at home. It's kind of
That's
nuts.
pretty sick.
Yeah. My first impression, it's loud.
Yeah.
It's fuck. It's very loud. Like the fan just turns on and it never stops until it's off. Like even when you're just downloading games, just sitting there and idling, like the fan just kicks in and you hear it.
What have you been playing on it?
I've been trying a few games around, and I think playing the Steam Deck has made me realize I'm not a PC gamer anymore, because I looked at my Steam library and I was like, man, I don't have anything I want to play on here.
Shameful.
No, I booted up Doom Eternal because I was like, okay, that seems like a pretty good, like, let's really see how hard this goes, right? And it actually runs pretty well. It runs like, 1280 by 720, right? It's not like a full 4K or whatever. But you don't need that for a screen that small that you're holding up right in front of your face. It runs pretty smoothly. Controls, I think, would take a lot to get used to. Like, I never used a Steam controller, and the Steam Deck uses that same thing where it has like touchpads on both sides, so you can use the touchpad to like look around in an FPS. So I think just it's going to take a while to like tweak those settings and sensitivity to like feel right to me. But there's also like a normal analog stick if you prefer to use the right analog stick to look around. But I was very impressed with how well it ran. It was like you could beat the game like this if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
That might be your new Persona 4 Golden Machine.
So that was the next game I booted up, because I was like, finally, I have a PS Vita, finally. And that also runs very smoothly. It's not even Steam Deck verified, but it's like, I mean, it's a PS2 game ported to PS Vita, ported to PC, kind of, right? Yeah. So like, of course it runs fine, and it's like the gamepad works just fine. You don't need the touchpad for it because, it's not a PC game. So yeah, that works pretty well. That might be the next thing I beat on the Steam Deck, just because like finally I can just sit on my couch and play it instead of sitting at my computer.
So maybe since my PS Vita doesn't work anymore, if all of the Final Fantasy ports work, I have a new PS Vita.
Yeah, I really want to buy the Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. Like, that's what I'm realizing. I'm treating this expensive ass machine that plays PC caliber games to play indie games and smaller games, because I've been playing Stardew on here. I played a little bit of My Time at Porsche on here, like games where you don't need the big beefy rig to really get it to run. That's
what I used the Steam Link for. Mm-hmm. Was like playing like Porsche and some other stuff on the TV.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like that kind of fits the form factor a lot more. Because like if I'm sitting down and playing something portably, like if I want to play something like Doom Eternal, I'll sit at my PC and play Doom Eternal, right? Mm-hmm. But for something like Stardew, where you want to lounge on the couch, the Steam Deck's pretty good for that kind of thing. Yeah.
Have you tried any keyboard and mouse gaming on it?
So I did try Civ 6, Civilization. Sid Meier's Civilization 6. Cannot forget Sid. Pretty good. Like I could do it. I sat there for like 90 minutes playing Civ 6. Like it's pretty seamless.
That was still in handheld mode, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's no dock. I mean, yet I don't like they're working on the Steam.
Yeah, I forgot that that's not even out yet.
It's not a Switch, kind of, right? It's just handheld. So the way they do it is like the left stick pans around. So Civ 6 is like a strategy game for those of you who don't know. So the left stick pans around the map for you, and then the right thumb touchpad is your mouse, essentially.
That works.
And it works really well. For me, it was a little, because I'm left-handed, so using the right trackpad to do mouse kind of like tired my thumb out a bit. Because I don't use that thumb as often as I do with my left one. And they do this thing where on the Steam Deck, all of the buttons then are mapped to like bring up the different status screens, which in Civ there are a fuck ton, right? Because it's a 4X game. And I'm like, okay, that's neat, but I'm never going to remember all of these. I will just click the button on the screen, right? You know what I mean? Like, though those hotkeys aren't really going to be helpful, but I do think it's cool that I can just like boot up a PC game, not at my PC. right? And that if it's that seamless, I imagine you could play a lot of other strategy games as long as there's like the right button configuration for it. You could play a lot of strategy games on this thing.
Nice.
And with Steam's inbuilt controller profile system as well, that'll probably do wonders for it as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's not even just the Steam built-in ones, but like fans and community can make some too. So even if, like you're crowdsourcing the best solution, right? Like if someone out there creates a better like Civ 6
control scheme, then
go for it. Right. I also played that Aperture Desk Job thing. You remember that free to play thing they released that was like, it's not Portal, but it's in the Portal universe, right?
At this point, do we have more games that are not Portal in the Portal universe than Portal games?
What other ones are there?
Well, there's the Lab.
Oh yeah,
which is the VR experiment one. So that means we've got 2 Portal games and 2 Portal tangential games.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Desk Job counts as that. It's pretty short. It's like a 30-minute thing. And you could play it now. You don't need a Steam Deck to play it. They have a lot of things where they show off like the haptics or the gyro, like the hardware
the tech
itself.
demo stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, it has that classic, sense of humor that, if you like Portal's sense of humor, this has a lot of that. But I think it's worth checking out if you get a Steam Deck, just because in the same way that PS5's DualSense is very like, this is cool, the Steam Deck's haptics are also very cool. Like using the thumb pads, the touch pads, there's like a small rumbling as you move your thumbs on them. So it kind of feels like rough, but in a good way. Like you feel the feedback as you're scrubbing through. Just kind of neat.
It kind of makes me think of like the old iPod click wheels.
Yeah, it's a little like those, but with more haptic feedback as you move. Yeah, so I don't know. I am enjoying it. There are a few bits that are a little buggy. Like I tried to, because you can suspend, right? Like when you turn off the screen, it just suspends. I suspended Stardew Valley for a bit and then checked it out a couple hours later, and then it started to stutter every like 15 to 20 seconds. So not great. I think I've been describing this to my friends as like, this is the Steam Deck 0.8. Like it's very close to a 1.0, but not quite there. But I imagine if Valve continues to do this, which who knows if they will, they seem pretty confident, but if they do, I think the next Steam Deck, that's going to be the killer hardware. This is more of a like, if you're really curious and have the money to burn.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Yeah.
It's the Oculus Rift 2 dev kit kind of thing before they brought out a full Oculus Rift. It's like you can do it, you can play the games, you can have the fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if anything, I might play more PC games now. Like I'm starting to think like, I gotta reorganize my Steam library for this thing, like because it's been so long since I've like really played.
I can send you a link to a great tool that I use that like categorizes all of the games in your library, so it's not a huge list.
Nice. Well, back when I was really into PC gaming, I did have a categorized list, and then since then I've like kind of Frankensteined things around that old system, so it's a real fucking mess now.
You've got to start hitting up every humble bundle you can, every fanatical deal, every blind bag, grab bag PC game, all the bloat, all the IndieWare bloat.
Yeah, I mean that was like 4 or 5 years ago. That's what I did. But if anything, I think it's been interesting seeing how it's shifted my perspective on purchasing games. Because for the longest time, whenever I think of like playing a game on my PC, it's often tied to, is it on PC Game Pass? And I don't have PC Game Pass on the Steam Deck, right? I mean, I could like install Windows on it or whatever, right? But like the native out of the box Steam machine, no, that's the other thing. Steam Deck doesn't come with Game Pass, obviously, right? So whenever I go through the storefront, I was like looking for a game to play, and they were showing off Tunic, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure like that would be the best Tunic machine, right? But already started it on my Xbox. I have it on my Xbox, like quote unquote for free, right? So no sense in buying it to play on the Steam Deck.
And we know that there's been those bits of talking about a Game Pass coming to Steam as well. Mm-hmm. That would be pretty wild to see.
Yeah, like that would be the game changer, because I would be treating the Steam Deck as like the Xbox handheld at that point.
Yeah, I mean that would be a way for a device to be created that is for all Xbox and all PC players. Well, obviously not all PC players, because, you know, people like to play where they like to play. But that would be pretty huge if you could just walk around with Game Pass in your pocket.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't put it in my pocket. It's pretty beefy.
Just wear cargo pants. Take it to whatever your nearest rooftop party is. Mm-hmm. Show it off to your friends. It's all good.
Yeah. I mean, it is pretty bulky, though. Like, I did take it with me to work one day. I just like threw it in my bag with like my laptop and everything else I normally take to work. And boy, howdy, do you fucking feel it. Like, my bag was so much heavier. Like, I mean, it's not that heavy, but it's enough where you notice it on a commute. You know, if you like bike to work or something, or if you take a bus, you're going to feel that on your back.
I don't know, between, you know, I would, with all new hardware and stuff, I would question build quality. But so far we've heard that it's making Rob's fingers sore, and it makes it difficult to get to work if he's carrying it. So I'm gonna have to start.
So strong.
I'm gonna have to start questioning your build quality.
Nah, I mean, hey, I'm a left-handed, so at least I can blame that on Steam.
Yep, that's right. He's of Satan too. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Steam Deck's pretty cool. I'm treating it like it's funny. I think of it more as a gadget. I would describe the Switch as a console, but Steam Deck as a gadget, right? Which, it's weird. Like, that's just semantics, right? But I guess that's just how I'm seeing it, you know?
That's cool. That's good to hear the stuff that's working and the stuff that's not working. I'm definitely interested in getting it myself. I think that I would pretty much immediately flash it with Windows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably be looking for that revised edition that we'll hopefully see. I don't know. It's not like Steam has a history of creating hardware and then dropping it immediately. No.
I mean, don't you have your Steam controller too?
Not Steam controller. Got the
Steam Link.
Yeah, actually, my Steam Link is currently plugged into my TV.
Oh, sorry,
I mean
mine too.
An active device.
I mean TWO2, the number 2, the Steam controller number 2.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a Steam Link out in the living room too. I think when the Steam Deck dock comes out, I might swap it for that, maybe, and then just stream my PC Steam to the Steam Deck Steam connected to my Steam dock on the TV.
And you can stream Steamboat Willie from his PC.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, that's the Steam Deck. And I think that's our show this week. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please feel free to review it wherever you're listening. Share it with a friend. That'd help us out a lot. And hit the subscribe button if you haven't, because we do this weekly. And it'll always hit your feed whenever you want to hear us. If you want to let us know what you think about the PlayStation Game Pass experience, the 3 tiers, if you want to let us know what you are interested in, if you might get it, you can leave a comment down below on YouTube or on our website at techraptor.net, where we are always publishing news, features, and reviews throughout the week. But if you want more of us, we will be back next Monday. We'll see you then.